So quick update on the 2016 HPC market results and growth rates. So at the end of the day on 2016, we just released, I think it was 10 days ago, the market results. 11.2 billion, which is the highest amount the market ever hit, although the increase over the last year was relatively low at around 4.4%. A lot of growth kind of in the upper half of the market, and we're back to a slowdown in the lower half of the market. As far as by vendors, HPE is number one, as it has been for quite a while. Dell has seen some serious growth and improvement, especially at the high end. We've been surprised in the last year how well Dell's doing in the supercomputer segment in really the $500,000 to $2 million range. And then next is Lenovo, and you can see the rest here. And then by the different verticals, here's how the market ended up in 2016. And by the different segments, as I mentioned, the supercomputer segment actually showed a very good recovery. The supercomputer segment still hasn't hit the high point from 3-4 years ago. So you're seeing a good recovery, but it's from dropping down quite heavily. And we're forecasting it to then go back into a growth mode. I believe the high point, though, actually 3 years ago was close to 5 billion already. So it won't hit that same high point until 2021. Although one thing we're watching very carefully are the exascale machines. So if China or the US or somebody else comes out with an early exascale machine in 2020 or 2021, these numbers are going to go up quite a bit higher than what we're showing right now. And then if you look at the broader market, which we include the storage, middleware applications, and repair services, 2016 ended up at around 22.5 billion, and we're forecasting the market by 2021 to reach 30 billion. And it continues to see the strongest growth on the storage side, which has been true for about the last 4 or 5 years. And then I would like to spend just a few minutes, some work we've been doing as far as comparing different countries. We do track 27 separate countries in our whole data structure. First of all, we are making our guess at what we think is going to happen with exascale by country. So we think the US is going to target sustained exascale by roughly 2023 at this time, with a potential peak exascale machine in 2021. And again, these are just our guesses. We think the cost is going to range between $300 to $500 million per system. So a little higher than the official DOE plans. We do think it's going to end up being closer to the 500 million. That is the cost of the system. There's additional R&D cost that's dramatic above that portion. In China is the one that we expect to see the first machine as far as first peak exascale. Right now they're saying 2019 instead of 2020. We're not totally convinced they're going to get to 2019. That's why we're showing 2020 here. But in their official announcements, they're saying 2019. We're estimating the cost around 350 to 500 million per system. And in addition to that, again, a lot of outside R&D taking place. In China right now, they're running a contest where they're down selecting from 3 vendors down to 2 vendors, and that was originally going to happen early next year, and they moved in the schedule where I think the contest ends at the end of this year for the funding. Europe, we see a whole different direction taking place. We think that one of the product lines there will likely be ARM-based, probably an ARM-based and a US-based one. Likely the ARM-based one will be built by a European vendor. And we're projecting the cost there to be a little bit lower than the US and China, more in the 300 to 350 million per system range. And then Japan will be the latest one with their system in the current plans. 2023 is an optimistic number to make everyone feel happy. We really expect it to be 2024 for Japan. The cost there, we're showing a lower number is 600 to 850. We actually think the number may exceed 850 and be more in the 850 to 900 range, but this is kind of our official forecast on that. The Japanese government has not yet agreed to fund the whole system, but what they're doing is funding it 1 year at a time as far as the R&D investment. They've already down selected the vendor, the processor type, and everything else. So this is the only one that I would argue has been fully designed. It's a Fujitsu system. It's going to use ARM-based processors. And I'm just saying, for all the exascale machines, the Japanese one is the one that's actually locked, loaded, and designed far more than the other systems are. And then the next one is to look at the investments beyond just the system purchases. We think the US will be running close to 1 to 2 billion a year in that additional heavy R&D that I mentioned in the previous chart. right now in Europe, they're looking at around 5 billion euros in total for the program, and that would be over 6-7 years, Steve?
Yep.
Roughly period. China, we expect to be running close to $1 billion a year on the R&D portion of the systems. And for Japan, it's a whole different calculation, because in Japan, we actually think the whole system is going to be $1 billion machine, which is going to include the base system and the R&D. And the way it's done is because, like I said, it's already been designed. The dollars they're not allocated by Congress, but they've already been locked in. It's a different combination of how you split the line between the system and the R&D.